The new Steve McQueen movie Blitz is out on Apple TV Plus, and I just finished watching it, and I am pretty satisfied with this movie. I certainly don't think it's one of McQueen's best. If you don't know, he's directed things like 12 Years a Slave, the Small Axe movies, Widows. So he has not reached the high points of those movies, I would say. Blitz is very kind of straight down the middle, almost to a fault. Overall, it's good, and when you have a guy like Steve McQueen behind the camera, you're almost always going to get good to pretty good, almost great. And that's what I would call this movie. I would call it pretty good. There's basically two plot lines going on in this movie. The first is this little boy, George, is sent away by his mom, who's played by Saoirse Ronan, during the Blitz campaign of World War II. He's sent away from London to be away from the bombings. He essentially escapes and tries to make his way home, and a series of events occurs. And the second part of the movie, which I think is the stronger one by like a considerable distance, Saoirse Ronan and mainly women that are working in the factories in London during World War II, and the soldiers, predominantly the soldiers of color, dealing with the Blitz and the raids that are going on, and having to put having to shelter the citizens of London, and kind of just the racism and the sexism that is occurring in London during these times. And it's a far more interesting story, that second part, than the little boy trying to come home story. It just is. And I think the main couple reasons for that would be, we're not asking a ton out of the child actor here, which I don't think we don't need to be asking the child actor to go out and win Academy Awards or whatever. But he is kind of just wandering from place to place, and he just kind of has to react to the things that happen around him. And it is just generally less interesting than the Saoirse Ronan and the other women in the factory storylines that are occurring. Overall, though, it's a good movie. I don't really think anyone's going to dislike this movie. I think that is kind of what you get with Steve McQueen almost, when it's just like, listen, you're going to get the floor for Steve McQueen is good to pretty good. And I would say this is pretty good. So overall, let me think. I'm trying to think about what Saoirse Ronan is doing in this movie, because so she sends her kid away. And then she is a factory worker. She has a great singing voice. We all know this because she's Saoirse Ronan. And I do like the dynamic that she has with her coworkers in the factory. Basically, I think that is pretty interesting. And the best part of George's storyline on his way home is he runs into this soldier called Ife, who is of African descent. And we spend some time with these two, where George is essentially growing up throughout this movie and is learning and experiencing, what it was like in London during this time. Basically, on one side you have World War II literally happening in your home, and then on the other side you have racism and sexism and other things like that happening in London at the same exact time. While people are running towards the underground to shelter in place during air raids and things like that. It is a very harrowing experience at times. McQueen is really, really good at the air raid scenes, at the quote-unquote action scenes. It's loud, it's very visual, very visceral. It's very harrowing is kind of the word I kept thinking of when I was watching this, is that some of these scenes are very harrowing. You feel the danger, and you feel the at least I felt the empathy that I was having for these characters during the movie, and McQueen is very good at empathy. It's very clear that he is putting kind of the human experience above all else in this movie, and that is to its positive. I would say that is a strength of this film for sure. It's really well made. I wish this was in theaters, is my only complaint, which I will always complain about to the end of time. Why is this not in theaters? This is a loud movie with a lot going on, a lot of practical effects. Water fills an underground tunnel at one point. The air raids are loud, the sirens are loud, the bombs are loud when you hear them hit. Even in the background, they're so kind of at the forefront of your mind that you kind of can't drown them out, even when there's music playing or when people are dancing and drinking and having a good time and things like that. It's really frustrating to me that we're not going to be able to see this in theaters, because I think this would hit a lot harder and a lot stronger in theaters with, you know, IMAX speakers or what have you. But unfortunately, we don't get that. So you get to go onto your couch, put your phone away, hopefully, and sit and watch a really good movie for about an hour 50, 2 hours or so, give or take. But that is my very quick review on Blitz. I really encourage you to watch this. In terms of Academy Award chances, I don't love this movie's chances. I know Saoirse Ronan might get an actress nom. I don't see it necessarily. I think she's good in it because she's Saoirse Ronan. She's good in every movie, but is this going to be one of the 5 best performances in her category this year? I find it really hard to believe, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You know, the Academy does love Steve McQueen. They certainly love Saoirse Ronan. She's been nominated many times. 2 or 3 times maybe. She's been nominated before, so I could definitely see it happening, but she's probably not going to make my 5 this year personally, but you know, I'm just one guy and I'm not the Academy, so that it is what it is. But overall, good, really good movie, like a 3.5 out of 5 I would give it. I definitely had higher expectations for it because it's Steve McQueen and it's Saoirse Ronan and it's, you know, this World War II movie that definitely had a lot of hype behind it, but now it's just sitting on Apple Plus, ready for your consumption and hopefully your full attention span. So go watch it. I highly recommend. And other than that, I will see you in the next movie review. Goodbye.